Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. As you know, we are Campioni d'Italia, and in this video, guys, I wanted to cover the 4 to 5 reasons that have made this possible. Now, I've been meaning to make this video for a very long time since we've won the league, but for the first few days, I just didn't have any words to describe how happy I was and to really process everything that Napoli did over the last few months and even years to get to this stage here. But now that finally things are starting to settle down a little bit, even though I think we're going to keep partying until at least the very start of next season, let's take a deep dive into why we are here today at this moment. Now, the first reason why we're here today celebrating the title is we have motivated people this season with us. And there's 3 quotes or 3 phrases that I want you to keep in mind that Spalletti uses as mottos for his adventure here at Napoli. Number 1, uomini forti, destini forti. Uomini deboli, destini deboli. Non c'è altra strada. Which means strong people, strong destinies. Weak people, weak destinies. There's no other way. The second one, sarò con te, ma tu non devi mollare. Now, this one didn't come exactly from Spalletti. It means, I'll be with you, but you can't give up. We're in this together, the players and the fans. We both are here for each other and we both don't give up. And then the third one is a very beautiful quote that Spalletti brought up in one of his press conferences, and now Napoli are starting to use as a hashtag on their social media, is tutto per lei, everything for her. And for her intends Napoli. Now, why are these 3 mottos super important? Because they're not just words. It defined Napoli's strategy this season. Because think back to an Empoli-Napoli of last season. In one of the final games of the season, Napoli are still in contention to win the title. In fact, we were tied first with 8 games to go. And then we go to Empoli. We're 2-0 up and we lose the game 3-2. And De Laurentiis calls for a retreat. Very old school Italian management style. But there's a twist. When this retreat starts, Napoli issues a statement, and in this statement it says everything is integrated in this retreat, with the novelty that we will have evening encounters at dinner to open up more about our problems. And that is something that is quite unique, because it wasn't just that the players were put on a retreat to train harder and to not get distracted by the outside world. No, it was a retreat that Napoli and De Laurentiis used to personally go and speak to every single player at the dinner table as a group or individually or whatever the case may be, and try to map out who are the guys that are really motivated for Napoli and who are the guys that live these 3 mottos that Spalletti has with him. And I am not talking about people whether they love the club or whether they don't love the club. I'm talking about whether they view Napoli as an opportunity for growth, whether they have something still to prove at Napoli, and whether they're motivated to put their personal interest aside for Napoli. Remember, tutto per lei. And it was after this meeting that De Laurentiis decided that he is not going to renew players that are looking for bigger deals on their already big contracts. So he let go of Ospina, of Fabian Ruiz, of Mertens. He let go of people that maybe had already grown to the max at this club and maybe had lost a bit of motivation, such as Koulibaly. And instead, he decided to put all his efforts into players that still had stuff to prove, that still had areas for growth. That's your Victor Osimhen, who had been the past 2 seasons hit by injuries. Or guys like Alex Meret, who had a reputation to turn around. Or guys like Di Lorenzo, who had some extra responsibility that they knew they could fill. But obviously, we couldn't build a winning team with just the players that we already had. And when we decided to bring in players, we brought in players that had this fire in them, that had hunger, that had motivation. We brought in young guns like Raspadori, who wanted to break through an elite Serie A club. We brought in guys from other leagues like Kim, like Kvara, that wanted to showcase their talents in a top league. These are all players that had something to prove this season. Alright, the second way Napoli built this Scudetto is that this team won with guys on the bench. Now, take nothing away from the starters. Obviously, Osimhen, Kvara, Kim, world class, Lobotka as well. But the amount of match-winning goals that the guys off the bench scored is through the roof. Now, I'm going to take 3 players only as an example, which I consider the top 3 non-starting 11 players, which is Elmas, Raspadori, and Simeone. Now, between these 3 players, they've scored 11 goals and contributed to 4 assists this season. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's not a huge amount, right? 3 to 4 goals each, 1 to 2 assists each. What's the big deal? The goals that these guys scored were match-winning goals against Milan, Roma, Juve, Atalanta, Cremonese, Spezia, Udinese, and one of Elmas's goals got us a draw against Lecce at the start of the season. And this contributed to an extra 15 points compared to what we would have had without these goals, where we would have either tied or maybe lost the game. Guys, 15 points is huge. That is the difference between winning and not winning a title comfortably. And the way that Napoli lost form towards the end, thank God that these 3 players stepped it up throughout the season, including the time when guys like Victor Osimhen were out for a few games. Because without these contributions, I don't think we would have had the title this year. When we take a look at our results this season, we conquered Italy on the road. We beat every single one of our rivals away from home, except Inter. Although you could say that because we beat Milan at the San Siro, we did win also at the Meazza. But that means that we won in the house of every single team that wanted to see us lose. And that gives me so much satisfaction, guys. I don't know about you, but to go and win at the San Siro earlier this season against Milan, to win at the Olimpico twice against Roma and Lazio, to win at Bergamo against Atalanta, to win in the final minute at the Allianz Stadium at Juve in Torino. That's huge. And then to go and also beat other non-top 6 or 7 rivals, such as Salernitana, such as Verona, in their home as well. Oof. Guys, we conquered Italy in their house. That is beautiful to me. The next thing I want to talk about is that we built this Scudetto sustainably and with a plan. And I want to bring up Giannis from the NBA team, the Bucks, because a few weeks ago he made an interview when a reporter asked him, so this season is a failure, right? Because Giannis's team was the top rated team in the NBA and they went out in the first round. And Giannis says in brief that, you know, guys, not achieving a goal in sports is not a failure. It is a step to success as long as you're building towards a goal. And I want to add, as long as you're building towards a goal in the right way. And by the right way, I mean with a sustainable plan and a sustainable strategy. And so when I look back at how Napoli built the Scudetto over the years, that's what I see. I see a sustainable plan and strategy, and I see past so-called failures as just steps towards this success now. The third place that we got last year, which we thought was a disaster after being so close to clinching the title, that was a necessary step to teach us some lessons for this season. And the fact that in the last 12 seasons, we finished in the top 3 8 times, and we finished in the top 2 4 times, I'm starting to look back at those as not failures, but steps towards getting it right this time. And not so that we get it right just the one time, but so that we build a legacy. So we are extremely well set up for the future, where we have a young squad that now has experience, we have manageable salaries, and then no debt from banks. Now, another aspect that I want to highlight with regards to sustainability is that the players that we have are going to guarantee us huge commercial opportunities down the years. And this is because we have got players who are the prime player in their countries in huge markets, or what I call blue ocean markets, markets that no one had ever bothered to get a player from before. Now, in the huge markets, I'm obviously referring to Nigeria with Osimhen, South Korea with Kim, Mexico with Lozano, all three, top 1 or 2 players in that country. And then there's some other markets like North Macedonia with Elmas, Slovakia with Lobotka, Cameroon with Anguissa, Georgia with Kvaratskhelia, Kosovo with Rahmani. These are countries that are all tuning in to watch Napoli play nowadays because their top player plays for Napoli. And whilst maybe these individual countries, especially the ones I named at the very end, are relatively small in size, their engagement is through the roof. And cumulatively, when you put all those together, they make a lot of numbers and they open up a lot of commercial opportunities. For example, the sponsor at the back of our t-shirt, Upbeat, is from South Korea. That opportunity would have never happened without a South Korean player. The fact that we are going to South Korea in June, right after our final game of the season, to play a few games there is because of Kim, and all that just elevates Napoli as a club and our future. And speaking of all these commercial partnerships, let's not forget that over the last 2 years, Napoli has closed deals with some huge companies. Konami with our training center, Coca-Cola, Amazon, Armani. Guys, these companies are elite companies, leaders in their industries. And all of them have been eager and willing to collaborate with Napoli. So De Laurentiis has done incredibly well to make sure that this club is sustainable in the long term. And finally, the last ingredient to this success. Through hard work, and I want to emphasize, through hard work, we have recreated a special bond between club, players, fans, and the city. Now, I want to take you back to the things that occurred in the Milan game with the Ultras and how we thought that that was going to tear Napoli from the inside. Well, guess what? In a cinematic move, De Laurentiis made peace with the Ultras. And trust me, guys, that for him is hard work. He really had to take a step back and man up and let go of some of his principles and be more flexible for the greater good of the relationship with the fans, the players, the city, and everybody. And from that moment onwards, guys, that resulted in one of the best atmospheres that we've had in Naples in a very long time. The whole stadium was wearing blue, waving flags, Everybody was enjoying the party. And let's talk about that party to show just how great this club is and the amount of effort that they've put into making sure that we create this bond with the city and with the fans. We had Paolo Sorrentino, an Oscar-winning Neapolitan director, organize the whole party. And that party, guys, I don't know about you, but it was one of the greatest ever sporting parties I have ever seen. And finally, the club has put in so much effort to bring the club closer to fans with the way they are auto-designing and distributing their own kits. It was a huge risk to go alone through the Armani route, but with our own distribution channel. No other top team does this, but Napoli said, look, we want to create jerseys that celebrate this team's success, that are fun, that make people love the club because maybe they find a design that they really love. And guess what? The market responded. These kits that go out sell out immediately. And the fact that we have a personalized one for every single player is incredible. That is super hard work and a lot of effort to put in whilst you're trying to fight for top 4 or win a title. But Napoli decided to do that because they wanted to reconnect with the fans. Anyways, guys, I hope that this video now puts into context this first Scudetto in 33 years. And if you're happy about that, and you're happy, and I finally got a chance to make a video about Napoli, then smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Napoli talk, and put your comments down below on what you think was the most important factor to Napoli's success this season. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao!